You can choose a life of ease and comfort, or you can choose a life of service and adventure. Which one of those, when you're 90 years old, are you going to be more proud of?
How will you use your gifts? What choices will you make? Will you wilt under criticism, or will you follow your convictions? When it's tough, will you give up, or will you be relentless?
I was in New York City working for a quantitative hedge fund when I came across the startling statistic that web usage was growing at 2,300% a year. So I decided I would try and find a business plan that made sense in the context of that growth. And I picked books as the first best product to sell online. Basically, right now, if you can do things using a more traditional method, you probably should do them using the more traditional method.
If you look at the big ideas at Amazon, what we're really focused on is thinking long-term, putting the customer at the center of our universe, and inventing. Big things start small. You can't skip steps. You have to put one foot in front of the other. Things take time. There are no shortcuts. But you want to do those steps with, passion and ferocity.
Think about the things that are not going to change over 10 years, and those are probably the big things. So like I know in our retail business at Amazon, 10 years from now, customers are still going to want low prices. I know they're still going to want fast delivery, and I just know they're still going to want big selection. When you identify the big things, you can tell they're worth putting energy into because they're stable in time.
You have to earn the loyalty of customers every day. If you ever rest on the past or rest on your laurels, it may take a little while, but the whole thing will go away. As a civilization, we will have so many gifts, just as you as individuals have so many individual gifts as you sit before me. How will you use these gifts? And will you take pride in your gifts or pride in your choices? You can have a job, or you can have a career, or you can have a calling. And if you can somehow figure out how to have a calling, you have hit the jackpot, because that's the big deal. I was working at a financial firm in New York City with a bunch of very smart people. And I had a brilliant boss I much admired. I went to my boss and told him I was going to start a company selling books on the internet. He took me on a long walk in Central Park, listened carefully to me, and finally said, "That sounds like a really good idea, but it would be an even better idea for someone who didn't already have a good job." You can have a job, or you can have a career, or you can have a calling. And if you can somehow figure out how to have a calling, you have hit the jackpot, because that's the big deal.
I met Jeff Bezos 25 years ago, and he told me, "Dave, I want you to invest in my company." "What are you doing?" "I'm going to start a bookstore in my garage." "Okay, and I'm going to put it online. People buy online, and I'm going to ship out of my garage. But if you invest in me, Dave, someday I'm going to be the richest man in the world. I'll do over $100 billion. First of all, there is no such thing as $100 billion 25 years ago. Statistically, there's no such thing. Countries didn't have 100. Our national debt wasn't $100 billion. And this dude's telling me at 26 years old that he's going to be the richest man in the world because he has a garage and the internet? That was his truth. No, but he did not know it, and neither did I. But the difference between him and I is I was laughing, scoffing, and jesting at him, and he was already applauding himself, going, at the right way, at the perfect time, I'm going to make as much as I can as quickly. And I'm sitting there going, there's no way this is going to be a big business.
Do something you're very passionate about, and don't try to chase what is kind of the hot passion of the day. Seen in that light, it really was a difficult choice. But ultimately, I decided I had to give it a shot. I didn't think I'd regret trying and failing. And I suspected I would always be haunted by a decision to not try at all. After much consideration, I took the less safe path to follow my passion. and I'm proud of that choice. As a young boy, I had been a garage inventor. I'd invented an automatic gate closer out of cement-filled tires, a solar cooker that didn't work very well out of an umbrella and aluminum foil, baking pan alarms to entrap my siblings. I'd always wanted to be an inventor, and she wanted me to follow my passion. There's a military phrase that I especially love, and it says, "Slow is smooth and smooth is fast." And I have seen that in every endeavor I've ever been in. That's the kind of thing that really allows you to make progress. You know, you get certain gifts in life and you want to take advantage of those, but I guess my advice on adversity and success would be to be proud not of your gifts, but of your hard work and your choices. So, you may be, the kinds of gifts you get in life, you might be really good at math. It might be really easy for you. That's a kind of gift. But practicing that math and taking it to the next step, that could be very challenging and hard and take a lot of sweat. That's a choice. You can't really be proud of your gifts because they were given to you. You can be grateful for them and thankful for them. But your choices, you choose to work hard. You choose to do hard things. Those are choices that you can be proud of.
You can choose. We all get to choose our life stories, and it's the choices that define us, not our gifts. Everybody in this room has many gifts. I have many gifts. You can never be proud of your gifts because they're gifts. They were given to you. You might be, tall, or you might be really good at math, or you might be extremely beautiful or handsome, or there are many gifts, and you can only be proud really of your choices because those are the things that you are acting on. And one of the most important choices that each of us has, and you know this just as well as I do, is you can choose a life of ease and comfort, or you can choose a life of service and adventure. And when you're 80, which one of those things do you think you're going to be more proud of? You're going to be more proud of having chosen a life of service and adventure.
There's never been a better time to be alive. I mean, it's just incredible the amount of inspiration that the world generates for me, and I think for a lot of people. It's insane, the amount of change and invention and opportunity. Your life, the life you author from scratch on your own, begins. How will you use your gifts? What choices will you make? Will inertia be your guide, or will you follow your passions? Will you follow dogma, or will you be original? Will you choose a life of ease, or a life of service and adventure? Will you wilt under criticism, or will you follow your convictions? Will you bluff it out when you're wrong, or will you apologize? Will you guard your heart against rejection, or will you act when you fall in love? Will you play it safe, or will you be a little bit swashbuckling? When it's tough, will you give up, or will you be relentless? Will you be a cynic, or will you be a builder? Will you be clever at the expense of others, or will you be kind? Every time you figure out some way of providing tools and services that empower other people to deploy their creativity, you're really onto something. You're very lucky if you have a career. A lot of people end up with a job.
If you don't love your work, you're never going to be great at it.
Jules Verne, Mark Twain, Galileo, Newton, all the curious from the ages would have wanted to be alive most of all, right now. As a civilization, we will have so many gifts, just as you as individuals have so many individual gifts as you sit before me. How will you use these gifts? And will you take pride in your gifts or pride in your choices?
July 16, 1995 was the day that in a small garage in a rented house, Jeff Bezos began his online bookseller business, Amazon. This was the day that began the starting point of what would eventually lead to one of the biggest American multinational technology companies that has impacted and changed the world as we know it.
So it really was a decision that I had to make for myself. And the framework I found, which made the decision incredibly easy, was what I called, which only a nerd would call, a regret minimization framework. So I wanted to project myself forward to age 80 and say, okay, now I'm looking back on my life. I want to have minimized the number of regrets I have. And I knew that when I was 80, I was not going to regret having tried this. I was not going to regret having wanted, trying to participate in this thing called the internet that I thought was going to be a really big deal. I knew that if I failed, I wouldn't regret that. But I knew the one thing I might regret is not ever having tried. And I knew that that would haunt me every day. And so when I thought about it that way, it was an incredibly easy decision. And I think that's a very good, it's if you can project yourself out to age 80 and sort of think, what will I think at that time? It gets you away from some of the daily pieces of confusion. I left this Wall Street firm in the middle of the year. When you do that, you walk away from your annual bonus. If that's the kind of thing, then the short term can confuse you. But if you think about the long term, then you can really make good life decisions that you won't regret later. Most regrets, by the way, are acts of omission and not commission.
Jeff originally was at a good job with stable pay and yearly bonuses. He didn't have to risk it all, but he realized quickly that there were trends that were constantly popping up, explaining how big the internet was going to be. He is now worth over $122.3 billion and is living proof that if you believe in yourself, you can win. If we were to learn from Jeff's success, what trail of clues would there be? What did he do to separate himself from other entrepreneurs and skyrocket himself into ventures beyond our wildest dreams? Here are some insights into how and why Jeff Bezos has become successful.
When planning a business like this, I think to sort of look at what is the brand promise that you're going to make to customers. And the brand promise that you make has to actually coincide and very, very closely with the things that you can deliver. And in our case, that led to the name of Amazon.com. It's basically Earth's biggest river, Earth's biggest bookstore. And we wanted to use this large selection to be able to build an authoritative store. Authoritative means a few things: authoritative selection, authoritative prices, and authoritative information about books so that you can make a purchase decision. And the internet allowed us to do all those things. We could have more selection. We could also have lower prices because we don't have to have retail real estate in high traffic areas. That's very expensive. Inventorying books in those spaces is very expensive. We get to inventory our books in very low cost warehouse space. It's also possible to have more information online about products than you could ever have in a physical shopping environment. So you can really build an authoritative store.
One of the biggest things to remember in business is what you are bringing to the table. What is the promise you are dedicating your brand to? What is it that you bring potential customers that no other business can provide? As Jeff explains, being able to follow through on what you promise and not overextending or underextending yourself has a massive impact on whether or not your business is successful.
One of the things that everybody should realize, and that is probably the single most important factor, is that any startup company that turns into a substantial company over the years, never lose track of the fact that there was a lot of luck involved in that. So, there are a lot of entrepreneurs, there are a lot of people who are very smart, very hardworking. Very few ever have, the planetary alignment that leads to a tiny little company growing into something substantial. So that requires not only a lot of planning, a lot of hard work, a big team of people who are all dedicated, but it also requires that not only the planets align, but that, you get a few galaxies in there aligning too. And that's certainly what happened to us. Our timing was good. Our choice of product categories, books was a very good choice, and we did a lot of analysis on that to pick that category as the first best category for e-commerce online. But there were no guarantees that that was a good category. At the time we launched this business, it wasn't even crystal clear that the technology would improve fast enough that ordinary people, non-computer people, would even want to bother with this technology. So that was good enough. So there are a whole bunch of things that have to sort of align to make it work.
Hard work plays a role in creating a business, but one of the most underrated factors in a startup success is luck. Being able to hit the market with a successful business at the right time, with the right products, and with a carefully thought out business strategy is a step in the right direction to help your business thrive and succeed.
If you want to be an entrepreneur, the most important thing is to be customer obsessed. So don't satisfy your customers. Figure out how to absolutely delight them. That is the number one thing, whoever your customers are. Passion, you have got to have some passion for the arena that you're going to develop and work in. Because otherwise you're going to be competing against people who do have passion for that, and they're going to build better products and services. You can't be a mercenary, you have to be a missionary. Missionaries build better products and services, they always win. The mercenaries are just trying to make money, and paradoxically, the missionaries always end up making more money. You have to pick something that you actually have a genuine passion for. You have to take risk. You have to be willing to take risk. If you aren't going to take risk, if you come up with a business idea, there's no risk there, you're probably, it's probably already being done. Those ideas are already being done. They're being done well by many, many people. So you gotta have something that might not work. And so you have to accept that your business is going to be, in many ways, an experiment, and it might fail. And that's okay. That's what risk is. The good news is at Amazon, we still take risks all the time, and we encourage it, and we talk about failure. We should be failing. Our failures have to grow with the company. We need big failures if we're going to be moving the needle. We need to have, billion-dollar scale failures. And if we're not swinging hard enough.
As Jeff puts it, being customer obsessed, having passion about your business, and being able to take risks are some of the most important ways that a business can be successful. If your customer is happy, they are more likely to become repeat customers and spread the word about your business. If you are passionate about what you do, it will show in your everyday practice. If you can take risks, you are able to push outside of your comfort zone and either grow your business tremendously or take the failure as an opportunity to grow and learn.
Do you ever have trouble winning support for any of your ideas?
The answer is yes. If I have a new idea that I am in love with and I want to see it pursued, I do have to build support for it, just like anybody would, because you need very smart people to embrace the idea and move it forward. We have a framework at Amazon. It's one of our leadership principles. It's called disagree and commit. And that is extremely useful because after you've discussed an idea, you do need to make a decision and move forward, and the whole team needs to really commit to that. When I really feel strongly about something and the team disagrees with me, I have a phrase that I like to use, which is helpful, which is, I want you to gamble with me on this. It's very different from phrasing that in a way, because the truth is, when you're in a position like that where nobody knows what the right answer is, you're not saying, I'm right on this. You're saying, I want you to gamble with me on this, because I don't know if it's right either. I disagree and commit all the time. And I promise the people when I do it, very clear, I don't agree with this. I think it's probably not going to work, but I will never say I told you so, and I'm going to be on your team. I will do everything I can to make it work.
Being able to support new ideas, even if you disagree with them, is an essential way to build trust between you and your team. Jeff talks about his disagree and commit policy as a way for people to openly discuss new ideas and new risks they believe could be beneficial to the company. Providing a safe environment where people can openly voice ideas and opinions is essential in creating a successful and thriving business practice. Jeff Bezos is now using his massive fortune to donate to multiple philanthropic projects, including his own climate change nonprofit, the Bezos Earth Fund. In total, Jeff has donated over $2.4 billion to multiple charities that he believes strongly in. He understands that with great power comes great responsibility, and without his success and his customers, he wouldn't be in the position he is today. What was your favorite moment in the video? Let us know in the comments below, and make sure to like and subscribe for new videos.
And what is your claim to fame?
I'm the founder of Amazon.com.
We are at the very beginning, not just Amazon.com, but the entire industry of e-commerce and online shopping. It's incredibly exciting.
No one in history has become as rich as quickly as Jeff
Bezos averages about $60 million a day, according to CNBC. The average American would have to work around 1,300 years to make a day of Bezos's pay.
In a world where success stories seem like impossible feats, one man defied all odds and emerged as the epitome of wealth and power. Jeff's story begins in Albuquerque, New Mexico, on January 12, 1964. From an early age, he displayed an extraordinary intellect and an insatiable curiosity about the world. As he grew older, it became clear that Bezos was destined for greatness. After graduating from Princeton University, Bezos began his remarkable journey that would forever change the landscape of commerce. In 1994, he founded a small online bookstore named Amazon, operating out of his garage in Bellevue, Washington.
Well, 3 years ago, I was in New York City working for a quantitative hedge fund when I came across the startling statistic that web usage was growing at 2,300% a year. So I decided I would try and find a business plan that made sense in the context of that growth. And I picked books as the first best product to sell online, after making a list of like 20 different products that you might be able to sell. And books were great as the first best because books are incredibly unusual in one respect, and that is that there are more items in the book category than there are items in any other category by far. Music is number 2. There are about 200,000 active music CDs at any given time. But in the book space, there are more than 3 million different books worldwide active and in print at any given time across all languages. More than 1.5 million in English alone. And so when you have that many items, you can literally build a store online that couldn't exist any other way. And that's important right now because the web is still an infant technology. Basically right now, if you can do things using a more traditional method, you probably should do them using the more traditional method.
At a time when the internet was still in its infancy, Bezos believed that the future of retail lay in the digital realm. It was an audacious idea that many dismissed as nothing more than a pipe dream.
Many kids and many grown-ups do figure out over time what their passions are. And sometimes we let our intellectual selves overrule those passions. And so that's what needs to be guarded against. Kids are very good about knowing what their passions are. It's a gift if you can keep your childlike sense of wonder. And it helps with creativity. It helps to have fun. You laugh more and play more if you keep that childlike sense of wonder.
But Bezos persisted. He poured his heart and soul into Amazon, relentlessly pushing the boundaries of what was possible. He sought to create an online store that offered an unparalleled selection of products and delivered them straight to the customer's door, with efficiency and convenience at its core.
I ask everybody around here to wake up terrified every morning, their sheets drenched in sweat, but to be very precise about what it is they're afraid of. And they shouldn't be afraid of our competitors. They should be afraid of our customers, because it's the customers, those are the folks we have a relationship with. Those are the folks who send us money. And I believe that our customers are loyal to us right up until the second that somebody else offers them better service.
So to better qualify that fear, it's like a fear of abandonment. You don't want them to abandon you?
That's right. You got to do a good job, and you have to earn the loyalty of customers every day. If you ever rest on the past or rest on your laurels, it may take a little while, but the whole thing will go away.
Fueled by unwavering determination and an unyielding focus on customer satisfaction, Bezos understood that to succeed, he had to go beyond the traditional confines of retail. Bezos diversified Amazon's offerings, expanding into ebooks, streaming services, and even hardware, with the launch of the groundbreaking Kindle e-reader.
I would hope Amazon's legacy would be as Earth's most customer-centric company. What we have always wanted to do is raise the standard for what it means to be customer-centric to such a degree that other organizations, whether they be other companies or whether they be hospitals or government agencies, whatever the organization is, they should look at Amazon as a role model and say, how can we be as customer-centric as Amazon?
Even competitors, I imagine, right?
Hopefully competitors as well. If that could be our legacy, that we kind of raised the general idea of what it means to be customer-centric, that would be a huge accomplishment. It would be accomplishing a mission that's much bigger than ourselves.
As the world watched in awe as Amazon's valuation skyrocketed, Bezos's personal fortune surged to unimaginable heights. But what truly sets Jeff Bezos apart is his relentless pursuit of innovation and his willingness to take risks.
Well, I think if you look at the big ideas at Amazon, what we're really focused on is thinking long-term, putting the customer at the center of our universe, and inventing. Those are the three big ideas, and they work well together. I don't think that you can invent on behalf of customers unless you're willing to think long-term, because a lot of invention doesn't work. If you're going to invent, it means you're going to experiment, and if you're going to experiment, it means you're going to fail, and if you're going to fail, you have to think long-term. So these three ideas, that's kind of the Amazon cocktail. That's how we do it. By the way, we have a lot of fun doing it that way.
Bezos pushed boundaries of technological advancements with projects like Amazon Prime, a subscription service that revolutionized online shopping by offering expedited shipping and exclusive access to a vast library of movies, music, and books.
I was a very lucky kid. I was inspired by invention and self-reliance from a number of different people, and from, even watching the Apollo program as a little boy. And I think when little kids get inspired, you never know what might happen. It's a big deal, and everything about our society gets better over time. I really do believe that. I'm an optimist. The myth of the good old days is usually just that, a myth. We have better medicine than we've ever had before. Everything, all of that is invention. It's people figuring out antibiotics. It's people figuring out new kinds of biomedicines, biotechnology. It's things that have been figured out, the kind of communication that we have, the freedom of speech we have now with the internet. There's so many things that are getting better, and a lot of that is powered by invention.
But the insane reason Jeff Bezos is so rich doesn't just lie in his entrepreneurial genius. It also lies in his ability to create a culture of innovation within Amazon. He fostered an environment where employees were encouraged to take risks, experiment, and think big. This philosophy resulted in countless breakthroughs that propelled Amazon to unparalleled success.
If you're straightforward and clear about the way that you're going to operate, then you can operate in whatever way you choose. And we don't even take a position on whether our way is the right way. We just claim it's our way. But Warren Buffett has a great saying along these lines. He says, you can hold a ballet, and that can be successful. And you can hold a rock concert, and that can be successful. Just don't hold a ballet and advertise it as a rock concert. And so you need to be clear with all of your stakeholders with, are you holding a ballet or are you holding a rock concert? And then people get to self-select in. We hire people who are really motivated by building new customer experiences. They like to pioneer. They like the rate of change. They wake up in the shower motivated by thinking about customers. And occasionally somebody joins Amazon who their primary motivation comes from thinking about competition or competitors. Those people can find Amazon a little dull. Again, it's not about right or wrong. It's just that different people are motivated by different things. And what happens with corporate cultures is that over time, people collect themselves in a way where they like that culture, and then it becomes self-sustaining. And so we really have a group, deep in our corporate DNA at this point, is people who like to pioneer, people who like to invent. We like going down blind alleys, wondering, or narrow alleys anyway, wondering whether they're going to be blind alleys or whether they're going to open up into broad avenues. And that's fun for us.
Today, Amazon is an e-commerce giant, a technology innovator, and a disruptor in numerous industries. And at the helm of it all stands Jeff Bezos, a man whose relentless pursuit of his vision has earned him a place among the richest individuals in history.
I like to think that Amazon.com still has the opportunity to be a footnote in the history of e-commerce. By not focusing obsessively on the customer, we can still lose our whole opportunity to make that little bit of history. But I think it's very useful to keep focused on the fact that we haven't built an important and lasting company yet. We're on our way, and if we don't, it'll be shame on us, because in the position we're in, we should be able to do that.
Jeff Bezos' story is a testament to the power of vision, determination, and a refusal to accept the status quo. His journey from a modest garage to becoming one of the most influential figures of our time is a reminder that the only limits we face are the ones we impose upon ourselves. Remember, the only thing truly insane is the incredible heights we can reach when we unleash our potential. What was your favorite part of this video? Let us know in the comments below, and like and subscribe to keep up with our latest videos.